Hey there admins, Stephen here, back for the October edition of What's New for G Suite admins. Let's kick off with our headline news. In October we announced the newest addition to G Suite, Jamboard, a collaborative digital whiteboard that makes it easy for your team to share ideas in real time and create without boundaries. We're moving the whiteboard to the cloud. Jamboard merges the worlds of physical and digital creativity. It's real-time collaboration on a brilliant scale, whether your team is together in the conference room or spread all over the world. Though we're still working on the final product details, there is an early adopter program. If you're interested, submit the form to receive more information about eligibility. Now let's look at our admin updates. The first admin update is a big one if you've ever needed to track additional information about your users beyond the basics. Since October, you can create custom user attributes directly in the admin console. Prior to this rollout, it was only possible to create custom attributes using the admin SDK, and more recently using the Google Cloud Directory Sync. Let's check this out in the admin console. Click Users, and from the menu bar, you can select Manage User Attributes. You'll see the default categories of basic information, contact information, and employee details. If we click Add Custom Category, then give the category a name such as Additional Employee Info, I'm going to add a new attribute. So for example, let me add Hire Date. Now I can choose what type it is. So in this case, I'm going to choose Date. We don't need multiple values for this. And then in private, I have the choice of yes or no. Yes means only admins and the user can see this data, and no means everyone in the company can see the data. Let's make this visible to everyone, so I'm going to select private is no. Now let's add another attribute. In this case, I'm going to make an emergency contact number. This one in type, I'm going to choose phone. For multiple values, I'm going to say yes because we can never have too many of those. And for private, I'm going to leave it as yes. This means that only the admins and the user can see it. If I go to the bottom and click Add, now you can see in the user attributes, my new custom category, Additional Employee Info, is there and has two attributes related to it. If I click Done, to see this in action, I'm just going to click into any particular user. And if I go to Account Details, you can see under Manage User Attributes, I now have these two custom categories available to fill in for my users. So by the way, only super admins can add new custom attributes, or admins who've been delegated the schema management privileges. And if you're curious about limits, a maximum total aggregate of 100 attributes can be defined all over apps, which includes the user defined attributes. Another update aimed at users is helping users recover their password with recovery email addresses. Last year, we gave admins the option to reduce their workload and save time for users who've been locked out of their accounts by enabling the ability for non-admin users to reset their own passwords. In October, we extended the non-admin user password recovery to include email addresses, an extension of the phone numbers recovery already in place. Let's see how to set this up first, since non-admin user password recovery is off by default for new G Suite domains. In the admin console, if we go to Security, then under Basic Settings, in the password recovery section, you'll see a link for Enable Disable Non-Admin User Password Recovery. As you can see here for recovery, it is not checked by default. So let's check this. And notice that you can choose this by organizational unit. So for example, you can allow your support team to self-recover, while contractors would have to contact the admin if locked out. So that's just the admin enabling this feature. But once it's enabled, what does the user see? Well, let's take for example our user Bob. When this user Bob signs in and doesn't have recovery options added, he'll get prompted to add recovery information. Before, he could only add a phone number, but now he also has the option of adding a recovery email address. With recovery options added, later, if Bob ever forgets his password, he can just click the link and it prompts him for the last password he remembers, just in case. And if this is still wrong, it offers him the chance to verify with a code sent to his phone. Bob would rather use an email, so he chooses try a different question and gets the new recovery email option instead. When he clicks next, a code is sent to his recovery email address. Once he inputs that code, he gets prompted to change his password to a new one and then is signed back in. The beauty of this is the user was able to self-help without getting the admin involved. However, you may not always want a user to be able to sign back in. For users who have left the company, or if there's a hijacked account, it's a good idea to revoke these recovery options. See the article in the Help Center for more tips and other steps to take. And finally, don't forget that as an admin, it's especially important for you to set up your recovery options. So our next update is about the Google Admin app. You can now transfer data from one user to another with the Google Admin app for Android, as long as you have the appropriate user management privileges. In the app, the process can be initiated from the user list page or the user details page by clicking the transfer icon. It can be done as a standalone action before suspending a user or before deleting a user. Just like on the web, you can transfer Google Drive files and Google Plus pages. Simply tap Select, then tap the name of the user receiving the data. Select the data to transfer and optionally select including private data. It's that simple now to transfer data ownership on the go. Another update around mobile devices is the new ability for bulk enrollment of company-owned Android devices. Please note this feature is only available with G Suite business domains. Last year, we introduced the ability to manage company-owned devices running Android 6.0 or Marshmallow. This allowed companies to provide devices to their employees, then flag these devices as company-owned within Google Mobile Management. In October, we took this feature even further with some new updates, so let's check them out in the admin console. So if you go to Device Management and choose Mobile Devices, it brings you to the Mobile Inventory page. Here you can filter around device ownership, choosing between personal and company-owned. When you choose to show only company-owned devices, you'll see a new option to import company-owned devices. This allows you to bulk enroll your Android inventory and force device owner mode on them and deploy it to remote offices with your chosen settings enforced. During the bulk import process, you can now associate your company-owned device serial number with a new attribute called an asset tag to better integrate with internal tracking and billing tools, making it easier to track your mobile inventory. If we go back to Device Management and go into Setup, there is a section on company-owned devices. Here you can now choose to receive a monthly report to help you monitor company-owned devices that have been inactive for the last 30 days. Overall, this is giving you much greater control over the Android devices you provide to your users. But remember, this is available to G Suite business customers only. Next, we have some mail updates. First off, administrators can now take action on password-protected Office files in Gmail. As a G Suite admin, you can set up compliance policies for message attachments that specify how to handle them. Whether you're in healthcare, financial services, or another regulated industry, you may need to store unencrypted copies of messages for regulatory purposes. A new attachment compliance filter for Gmail allows you to specify rules for how to handle password-protected Office files. Let's see where this can be set. In the admin console, go to Apps, G Suite, Gmail, and under Advanced Settings, if you search for Attachment, then you'll find the Attachment Compliance section. If you click Configure here, this will set up a new policy. First, choosing which emails to affect. In this case, I'm going to just choose inbound and outbound. Then I'll add a new expression. If I filter on file type, you can now see the new setting for attachments that are Office documents which are encrypted. This new option detects whether an attached Office file, such as Microsoft Office or LibreOffice document, is password protected and therefore encrypted. Once I save this, and once you've chosen to filter for these attachments, from there you can define what action you want to take on the message. For example, you can deliver it modified, such as stripping its attachments and adding an advisory notice to the message. You can reject the message, or you can quarantine it. Let's choose to quarantine. Whatever the action, this compliance filter is only triggered by whether the attachment is password protected or not. Many G Suite customers have already deployed advanced Gmail filters from the admin console in order to meet their specific IT requirements. To learn more, visit the Help Center article on how to set up filters for attachment compliance. Our next update leads directly on from this example, as we now have email notifications that are available for your admin quarantines. So we've just seen a scenario where you may set up a compliance filter which leads to messages being quarantined. Many admins have requested email notifications when mail messages are quarantined. In October, we released a new setting that will let you do just that. Let's see this in the admin console. Under the Gmail Advanced Settings, you'll see a tab for Quarantines, where you can review the current quarantines and add and delete new ones. If I edit a pre-existing quarantine like the default one here, you'll notice there's a new setting, Notify periodically when messages are quarantined. Once enabled, admins will receive an email notification within an hour of when an email is quarantined. We recommend only enabling email notification for the quarantines that need to be actioned immediately. For those of you who haven't seen the admin quarantine before, let's take a look. You can reach it by the URL email-quarantine.google.com/admin-review. The admin quarantine also has a new look and feel to make the quarantine logs easier to read. For each message, if you choose one, you can take actions such as allow delivery, deny delivery, or you could just do nothing. You can also take bulk actions which will apply the action to many messages at once. Quarantines help prevent spam, minimize data loss, and protect confidential information. They can also help moderate message attachments so that your users don't send, open, or click something they shouldn't. Messages sit in the quarantine for 30 days before they're automatically deleted, giving you a chance to review and act on the quarantine messages. And as you can see from these new email notifications, admins will have a much better opportunity to know what messages are coming into their quarantine and when. And on the topic of spam, next there's been updates to Gmail's SMTP relay abuse detection to help protect your domain's email reputation. If you use the SMTP relay service to send email through Google servers, sometimes users' devices get infected with malware and send large amounts of spam. With this new launch, when Gmail detects abuse of the SMTP relay service by a domain's user, we will now send admins an email alert with a list of the users affected, as well as some steps to identify why this problem is occurring and how to combat it. It's important to action these messages as soon as possible, because spam messages from these accounts can damage your domain's email reputation, causing legitimate emails to get sent to the spam folder of the recipient or even just rejected. Check out the Help Center article for more info on how to troubleshoot SMTP relay spam. Now let's talk about some admin announcements. Like there's a new version of the Google Cloud Directory Sync, which has also been renamed from Google Apps Directory Sync. Many of you are using Directory Sync to synchronize your user information from your corporate LDAP, such as Active Directory, with G Suite, thus simplifying user management if you need to keep your LDAP around. With the latest version of Directory Sync, not only has the name changed to reflect our new branding of Google Cloud, but it also has several enhancements, such as reordering of the settings and configuration screens, being more dynamic and making it easier for new admins to configure. It's also easier to reauthorize the Directory Sync user to G Suite, as well as some improved error codes and bug fixes. And just as a reminder, we've increased account security whereby OAuth 2.0 tokens will be revoked when a user's password is changed. This became effective as of October 5th, 2016. Check out the Help Center article and FAQ for more details. And lastly, we'll be ending support for Drive for Mac or PC Sync Client versions 1.27 and older. Support ends for these older sync clients on February 1st, 2017. Users still on versions 1.27 and lower after February 1st, 2017 will no longer be able to sync files between Google Drive and local storage using the Google Drive for Mac or PC client. So check out the instructions and upgrade these older clients today. And as always, we want you to stay informed. So if you're looking for info on all of the new features, then check out the G Suite release calendar or read the What's New in G Suite newsletter for all the updates and more info on what they mean. And for those of you who don't know, there are presentation slides shared with each video that we create. So linked in the YouTube description, you can find all the links and resources for the updates we've mentioned. Well, that's it for this month. Leave your comments and questions below. This has been Stephen with What's New for G Suite Admins, October 2016 edition.